Aging's not for sissies, is it?
It is not for sissies. It is, you definitely want to preserve capital with every
Yep.
passing day.
Well, when you think about aging and the foods, I mean, you got to think about it like maybe a house. So that's a big word, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. People are like going, what in the world? So, in a nutshell, NAD is a cofactor. And think about like cofactors are like necessary helpers to make something happen.
Stress and sleep disorders. And this herb has been one of the ones that we have actually utilized in a lot of clinical situations to get people back on track. Now, one of the products that we use is
Ashwagandha.
Let's go.
As we know, aging is inevitable. And as we age, it is important that we still continue to nourish our bodies right. Let's talk today just a little bit about how food should change or what we should pay attention to as far as the food groups as we get just a little bit older.
Aging's not for sissies, is it?
It is not for sissies. It is, you definitely want to preserve capital with every
Yep.
passing day.
Well, when you think about aging and the foods, I mean, you got to think about it like maybe a house, right? Or a car. When you have a house that was built earlier in time or a car that was made earlier in time, you have to sort of keep an eye on things like the oil in the car and the tires and the wear and tear and all that. And with the house, the plumbing and the roof and the paint and all that kind of stuff. Well, the body's no different. As you age, you have to keep higher sort of inventory awareness of what you might be missing in nutrients because sometimes the nutrients don't clear as fast. Our systems of the body, they tend to be a little more sluggish, not run quite as quick. We don't get as much clearance of waste material. We don't get as much healing from, or as fast of healing typically from damage that's in the cells or in the tissues. And so, with all that said, we've got to think about how can we put foods or nutrients in there that can offset that inherent weakness that's going to happen with time.
Well, one of the biggest things that happens is as we get a little bit older, we can become sarcopenic obese. We can
Yeah.
weigh the same, however, we're losing our
Mhm.
lean muscle mass. So, one of the most important things that we need to pay attention to is getting adequate amounts of high quality protein. That's going to be good, clean, lean cuts of meat, even eggs,
Yep.
chicken, fish, and the like. Protein, those amino acids, the building blocks of life, we've got to have those. And if we don't get enough of it, our muscle starts to decline. And loss of muscle is frailty, and frailty is a disease.
Yeah, we talk about protein a lot. It's sort of this dual-edged sword because we know the body has more difficulty breaking down stuff as we age. But people are going to hear, you're going to hear this thing that says, as you age, you need to eat less protein. I know you've heard that before because I've heard that before from people that come in and see us. But the bottom line is that's not the case as a very general rule. Now, if you have other conditions or specific issues, that might be the case. But when you don't, we need to have protein. And I always have said, make sure, because we want to avoid sarcopenic obesity, which is loss of muscle, gain of fat, while the scale weight can even drop somewhat, right? We need to continue to train with weights, giving that natural breakdown so that we can have the natural proteins to help recover and compensate and rebuild to maintain muscle tissue so that we can avoid sarcopenic obesity, maintain muscle mass, and maintain a lessened amount of fat tissue.
Another thing that oftentimes changes, the plumbing gets a little bit slower as we get older. We have to pay attention to our bowel habits, making sure that we have adequate fiber. Well, where does fiber come from? It comes from those
Yeah.
fibrous foods, both fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are rich in our vitamins and our minerals.
Yeah, I would say, I know we begin this segment with the idea of what foods need to change as we age, but I look at it maybe switch the sort of narrative a little bit to say maybe as we age, we need to just be more aware of and give more balance to our meals and not and realize that we are not as resilient as we once were. So I don't want to look at it as being more strict. I want us to look being ultra intentional in what we do because I don't want to waste my time as I age by being distracted by sickness because that to me is like, well, what are you doing? You spend all your life waiting on this time of retirement or whatever, and then your health becomes a negative priority. That's not okay. It should be a positive asset, right? So I think it's just more awareness of good quality things, like you said, well-rounded diet that contains fruits, vegetables, good, clean, lean protein.
And then, of course, those good oils.
Oh yeah.
Good oils is like changing oil in the engine of our car. As we get a little bit older, sometimes we've got those aches and pains. We just have too many omega-6s in our diet and not enough omega-3s. So let's talk a little bit just about a few good sources of omega-3s to put into the system.
Number one is wild caught fish, and that can be wild caught large fish or small fish. Some of the key ones we like to take in are going to be like sardines or mackerel or herrings. Those are the tiny ones. And then you got to think about omega-3 fatty acids as well, like in capsules. These are ultra important any time of life, but more importantly, even as we age, 3 to 4 grams for you always. And don't worry, you're not going to bleed out. We've taken these things even with blood thinners and not seen a big problem. So, everybody's different. Just be aware of that. But aging, though not for sissies, is inevitable, but it doesn't have to be painful. It can actually be profitable if you just balance your meals out and be more aware of what we're doing.
NAD, a hack for aging. What is it and how do we use it?
Stay with us.
I don't know about you, but I have to have that cup of coffee in the morning. And Kingdom Coffee is mold-free, it is pesticide-free, and it is organic. It's got this flavor that is delicious. You don't even have to put cream or sweetener in it.
This is actually organic, mold-free, certified. It's got a little certificate with it. That's important because ultimately people drink coffee. It's cultural. And so we tried to meet the culture where it is and create a healthy alternative.
Hey friends, you already know the answer to this, but we'll ask you anyway. If you stay away from your favorite junk food for a month and then go back to supersizing it, will your health improve?
Well, that's the thing about change. To change, we have to be as consistent as possible.
And when we go back to an old habit, it's not the end of the world. We just get back at the new habit.
Before you know it, real transformation is evident to you and others.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life, and we'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.
Kingdom Candy with a K again. 2 flavors. We got salted
Delicious.
caramel and peanut butter. These are great. I mean, they're
kind of like a complete meal.
yeah, they're 200 calories. People want to know that all the time, and not that we're worried about calories, but these things have great ingredients. They're not sweetened with sugars, and they don't have those false sugars or fake sugars, artificial
They've got
sugars.
fiber in them.
They do. It's interesting. Salted caramel crunch is our newest flavor. We'll come up with some other stuff at some point, but those can bridge the gap of that sweet tooth craving. They're sweetened with monk fruit. That's really, if you know what that is, it's not going to raise blood sugar.
It's really only 2 grams of sugar. I refer to it as the sweet without the cheat.
Any of these things out here are designed to be money saving, nutrition giving, and life enhancing. And this is a big deal. So you'll find out, like thousands of other people did, that these things will help you live healthy longer. If you're suffering from fatigue, if you know you got toxic overload because you bring in stuff that's actually inflammatory and toxic, it's time to get your body in a place where it can function again, because toxic buildup can and does and will kill you.
Kingdom Detox and Kingdom Detox packets. So the body's completely nourished. It gets a little bit of rest because it's not having to over digest, so to speak, and it gets the right nutrients that support those phases.
That's why the Kingdom Detox process works.
There is a buzzword that is flying around social media, the media, just everywhere. It's called NAD, N-A-D, which stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Well, let's just discuss a little bit about what NAD is and how it can benefit you, your life, and longevity.
So that's a big word, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. People are like going, what in the world? So in a nutshell, NAD is a cofactor. And think about, like, cofactors are like necessary helpers to make something happen. It would be like an assistant that has to happen to be there for the work to carry on. But people forget that we have these things called free radicals that are built up. And so talk about maybe what free radicals are.
Well, a free radical is something that happens when your body is trying to process either something that's endogenous from the inside or exogenous from the outside. And it becomes like a free radical or a species, if you will, that can cause tissue damage if it is not reduced. It's like rusting in real time faster than you're reducing. And that would equal rapid aging.
So if you're rusting, and these things would cause rust, so a free radical is like waste product that causes rust, then where NAD fits in is NAD is a cofactor for the process that keeps the rust builders down. In other words, it takes something that could create rust and it turns it into something that can't create rust. And that reduction of that dangerous oxidation state called redox, this is where that reduction oxidation takes place, and NAD is a cofactor. So we have to have it, and that's why people say, and I believe that it's more of a strategy to be used as an anti-aging kind of concept.
Well, and it is. Well, NAD is present in all cells. It's present in the cytoplasm, that gooey stuff that kind of keeps the cells fluid. It's present in the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. It helps you make energy, and it's also present in the nucleus. So if we don't have NAD, the mitochondria don't make energy as efficiently. And then in the nucleus, what's in the nucleus? DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid. That's that recipe book that helps us make healthy cells.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like with NAD, we lose a lot of that production or availability as we age. As aging is not for sissies, we've said, but it's funny because we lose it with age and we can bring it back because we do take NAD. We've used it, I've used it in a couple different ways, intramuscular injection or even subcutaneous injection, and it makes sense to me, so I pretty much use that most of the time now, and I think you'd agree, right?
Absolutely. And we now have that available in the office with IV administration.
Yeah, it's interesting. So as long as you get it in your system, people might say, well, they'd like this way or that way. One thing that we haven't seen that's worked too well is some of the precursors like nicotinamide riboside, known as NR, or nicotinamide mononucleotide, known as NMN. These are precursors for it, and they can be taken orally, but we haven't really seen those yet, really be able to ensure NAD is built up.
Well, and for example, NAD, we can't really say we're going to stop aging or slow aging
No.
or anti-aging, but we can say that NAD can kind of help buffer that inflammatory response. And we know that inflammation is the precursor to all chronic sickness and disease. So if NAD comes to the rescue, we might get ahead of that thing called inflammation, which is what is setting us up down the road for disaster.
Well, anyway you look at it, when these free radicals or waste products that cause rust get built up in the cells, that means you're aging faster. And so that's just like a car, man. You want to make sure your car's not rusting out. So keep it clean. This is keeping your body clean as long as it can. Now, like an old car, Might become a classic. You could care for that car and make it a classic that increases value, or you could let that car run down and let it become a classic pile of junk. I mean, your choice, right?
It's your choice, your body, your choice on how you want to take care of it.
Yeah, so when you look at NAD as a whole, it really is something you probably should be doing. We have not seen any negative studies on it, but in all fairness, it hasn't really been studied long term over time, what it can do or what it can't do. But it makes a lot of sense from a biochemical standpoint that we should be using NAD. And again, personally, I use it subcutaneously. I've used it intramuscularly, and we do have ways to make a IV. So we all should be using this as sort of a natural supplemental way to sort of maybe slow down this thing called aging. So look at NAD for your next aging hack.
What is ashwagandha?
Well, it's not a foreign country. We'll talk about it on Furthermore.
I don't know about you, but I have to have that cup of coffee in the morning. And Kingdom Coffee is mold-free, it is pesticide-free, and it is organic. It's got this flavor that is delicious. You don't even have to put cream or sweetener in it.
And it's Kingdom Cup with a K,
K.
right? So this is important. 50% of all coffee at least contains mold. And this is a key thing. That's in bean form, right? So you're going to be a little grinder. They're just a few bucks. Grind it up, put it in your maker, and make it. Why did we go with the bean form, the whole bean? Because ultimately the powder form is the one that gathers the most moisture. And that means the more potential mold development. So this is actually organic, mold-free, certified. It's got a little certificate with it. That's important because ultimately people drink coffee. It's cultural. And so we tried to meet the culture where it is and create a healthy alternative.
Can a shake transform your life?
If it helps you invest in your health on a daily basis, the answer is
yes.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
We'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today. Now we have it, Kingdom Crunch.
It's important to start breakfast off with a power-packed punch. You want a complete amino acid score, good protein. If you turn the label over and look at the back of the box, there is no added sugars in either one of these flavors, either peanut butter or acai bowl.
Peanut butter has 11 grams of high-quality protein. Acai bowl has 8. Peanut butter has 11 grams of carbohydrate, acai bowl 12, and both of them have good solid fat content at 6 grams. Very filling, very healthy.
You will be fueling yourself with high quality fuel, starting off the day right. You can even use Kingdom Crunch as a snack in the middle of the day if you just have a craving and you want to eat something that is good for you, has a crunch, and doesn't have a lot of calories.
There you go. Diabetic friendly, keto friendly, paleo friendly, Kingdom Crunch, and
child friendly.
When you hear the term ashwagandha, do you think it's a country? Do you think it's a foreign language? For those of you that have that spiritual twist, do you think I'm speaking in tongues? Ashwagandha, ashwagandha. No, actually, it's kind of a wild thing because it's an adaptogenic herb and it comes from the ground, which is a source of healing for many people because we believe that the nutrients in the ground actually provide a lot of benefits for the body. But did you know it can help you with stress and sleep and things that can really help you be calm? Ashwagandha is really an interesting herb, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And the last 4 years, probably starting in about 2020, we saw more people having issues with anxiety, stress, and sleep disorders. And this herb has been one of the ones that we have actually utilized in a lot of clinical situations to get people back on track. Now, one of the products that we use is
Ashwagandha,
Bio-ashwagandha.
and just simple Ashwagandha. People wondering is it sort of comes from the Asia and Africa. It has within it these things called withanolides. Big old word, but those
Say that
are
one more time. It's a
withanolides.
tongue twister.
Withanolides, and so those things that are in there, they actually help bring calm to the system. And we talk about adaptogenic herbs. I like the term adaptogenic because they have the ability to adapt. In other words, they can help you be more calm, or they could help you be a little more aware, depending on what you might need.
So that's very curious. When we think about the dysfunction of stress and anxiety or insomnia, what has happened is an imbalance in this thing called the autonomic nervous system. And we tend to lean more towards to the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, run and flee, instead of being able to rest and relax. And ashwagandha, being an aid, comes to the rescue and kind of puts the teeter-totter back in balance and level.
When we talk about a pendulum swinging back and forth, that pendulum swinging back and forth, I want you to think about a swing set, that's at the top end on the apex on both sides. There's no calm there. That's where most people live. They live all wound up all the time, and they can't calm down. And over the course of time, that can wear the system down. And obviously, we've talked previously to some behavioral modification and breathing things, and people need to go back and listen to those shows again. That's important. But when we talk about bringing in natural substances, and we're not talking about antidepressants, we're not talking about things that will hurt you, we're not talking about things that can have any negative effect to speak of. Well, when we talk about some contraindications potentially, but we're talking about things that can help you bring that pendulum back into a little more calm, so that you're not pinging at the end of those spectrums all the time.
Yes. Well, speaking of contraindications, of course, ashwagandha has not been well studied in pregnancy. So if you are brewing a bun in the oven or baking a baby, it's probably best not to take ashwagandha.
Did you just say bun in the oven?
Bun in the oven.
Oh my gosh, that was funny.
Brewing a baby.
Yeah.
Also, if you have hypothyroid disorders or dysfunctions, you might want to talk to your doctor before you put something like this on board. It also can interact with certain medications like blood pressure medications, seizure medications, thyroid medications, and the like. So being very educated before you just pop some ashwagandha is going to be a smart thing. Interestingly enough, ashwagandha does improve the function of the endocrine system. Like we talked about how it can aid in balancing the autonomic nervous system, ashwagandha can increase the level of certain androgens in the system, one of those being testosterone. So you may want to have your levels tested before you start ashwagandha, and then 6 to 8 weeks into taking it to make sure you're not spilling that meter over the top and getting too high.
Now, before people are out there and you're going, okay, I'm going to take ashwagandha and drive my testosterone to the roof. I can hear you guys doing that right now. Hold the line a minute. So let's think through this. We don't produce good testosterone, doesn't matter who you are, when we're under a high amount of stress, because the system is too wound up. When the system is wound up like that, we're not supposed to be reproducing because we're being chased by a bear. To stop on the side of the trail and try to have sex is probably not a good idea if you're being chased by a bear. So ashwagandha does not directly make testosterone. It calms the system so that the body can create more of the testosterone. So before you start going into this cause and effect, we need to understand the relationship of both.
It's a balance. We
That's
are
right.
bringing the body in balance so that it can innately do what it is supposed to do. What is that supplement one more time?
It's called ashwagandha, and people can take that during the day.
Once a day, twice a day, at night.
I've done it both.
Both.
I know people that chronically live stressed out, depending on where you are, get with a clinician to help you sort of work that out. The The whole system in which we live is very individualized and personalized based upon your own environment, both emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. So it can be taken during the day, it can be taken at night. It's the easy, low-hanging fruit is take it when you're most stressed out. So again, the one that we like is Bio Ashwagandha. And then certainly there's other things that we can do to help with this idea, but understanding all these herbs, all these adaptogenics is really, really important. And that's what we excel in, and that's what we study on all the time. So hope this helped you. Hope it was a little cool educational piece to know that ashwagandha is not a country. No, it's an adaptogenic herb that can help you.
Can a shake transform your life?
If it helps you invest in your health on a daily basis, the answer is
Yes!
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
We'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today. If you're suffering from fatigue, if you know you got toxic overload because you're bringing in stuff that's actually inflammatory and toxic, it is time to get some answers. It's time to turn things around. It's time to get your body in a place where it can function again, because toxic buildup can and does and will kill you.
Kingdom Detox and Kingdom Detox packets.
In those are the supporting nutrients, the supporting micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that support all the functions of a whole Kingdom Detox. It also has Kingdom Fuel with it, so you can do a whole 2-week detox process with the detox packs, or you can just take the detox packs. Either way is fine, but it's going to support that process.
So the body's completely nourished. It gets a little bit of rest because it's not having to over digest, so to speak, and it gets the right nutrients that support those phases.
So we got to get the toxins out and let your body function well again. That's why the Kingdom Detox process works. Now we have it, Kingdom Crunch.
It's important to start breakfast off with a power-packed punch. You want a complete amino acid score, good protein. If you turn the label over and look at the back of the box, there is no added sugars in either one of these flavors, either peanut butter or acai bowl.
Peanut butter has 11 grams of high-quality protein. Acai bowl has 8. Peanut butter has 11 grams of carbohydrate, acai bowl 12, and both of them have good solid fat content at 6 grams. Very filling, very healthy.
You will be fueling yourself with high quality fuel, starting off the day right. You can even use Kingdom Crunch as a snack in the middle of the day if you just have a craving and you want to eat something that is good for you, it has a crunch, and doesn't have a lot of calories.
There you go. Diabetic friendly, keto friendly, paleo friendly, Kingdom Crunch, and
Child friendly.
Let's go.